Welcome to the Voices of GESDA, and today we are very happy to welcome Valentine von Toggenburg, a World Economic Forum Global Shaper, attorney, Swiss Federal Office of Justice, Bekithemba, sorry if I'm not saying your name correctly, Ntoni, a master's candidate from the University of Cape Town in South Africa, and Jordan Naddaf, president of Foreign Policy Youth Collaborative Association, and currently studying in the United Kingdom. Now, we have young people here today with us. Valentine, can you tell us a little bit why we have such a large group of young people following the GESDA Summit this year?
Thank you for this question. I had the chance to participate in the discussions with GESDA from the beginning, and it was a concern to make sure that civil society, meaning also non-experts in science, in diplomacy, participate in the summit. And a small group of people of the civil society is the young generation. So this is the most important reason, I think, that we are all here. I'm still part of this generation. Different partner
GESDA partners.
GESDA partners, exactly, thank you, have nominated and selected a cohort of representatives of this generation that are here today.
So they're a bit the elite, huh? Because they were chosen probably because they are very smart and brilliant young people. So Jordan, let me start with you. What were your impressions following GESDA these past 2 days?
I think that it's a really important space to start including youth in. Everything that I have been learning about, the sessions that I have been sitting in, and the way that these subjects are being studied as interdisciplinary subjects, I think it's so important to expose youth to this perspective and this angle. I also think that I'm very happy to hear that there's a focus in this conference on actions we can take and where we're going after the conference and after these sessions, rather than focusing on the information that's being discussed within them. There's usually an action point or an ask, and I think that that's rare in these sorts of spaces, these collaborations, big groups on such wide subjects, and it makes me very hopeful and excited to see what comes of this.
And what about you? What did you think? What were your impressions, Victor?
So I think it's great to be outside after a COVID-19 pandemic, right? Just to see how our neighbors are doing. But also I think the international climate at the moment is very nationalistic. It's very divisive as well. So it's great to see people of different nationalities being united by science, but also using diplomacy as a conduit in order to understand the issues that we face. So this week was very illuminating, but also it's a great perspective in order to build bridges and still say that even though we belong in different countries, we're still part of an international community, and we should work together to solve the issues of the future, but also look at our past and how COVID-19 has affected us and how we were able to collaborate in order to create a vaccine, which should be a precedent that promotes multilateralism in the future.
Mm-hmm. Becky, you know, we talk a lot about the future here at GESDA. What impressed you the most in that context of what you've heard so far, of the panel discussions that you were able to follow?
So I'm very impressed by how science acts as a conduit in which to further, international cooperation. I think science as a conduit and also as an impactful actor is one that is a basis for development. So I think seeing that science is a conduit for development, but also technological determinism, it acts as a way to bridge the divides that we've been facing. So coming from a Global South perspective, it's really great to see that we're being included in these conversations and also our contexts are being taken into account. And I think, going back home, I can repatriate these ideas and also inform my certain networks in how they can be able to raise their voices and also add to the conversation.
Jordan, what about you? What impressed you the most?
I think that what's impressed me the most is the backgrounds, the education and work backgrounds of the people who are here. It's so diverse in every panel. There are people approaching the same issue or the same subject from so many different angles, and sort of what you said as well. I think that it makes me very excited to see that all of these people are approaching these subjects from different perspectives and coming to similar conclusions, or at least similar questions that we're asking ourselves. And I think that I'm very impressed by how well-rounded the team is here and how everyone is dedicated to answering the same questions, but from different perspectives and with different interests.
So are you optimistic about your future, which will be, for us, extremely important? You're the next generation after all these discussions, because that's what we're hoping for also.
I would like to be optimistic about our future. I think that including this youth cohort is a very important first step. I think that in order to say that I really truly believe that we are going to do incredible things and be able to effectively tackle these issues, I would need to see more youth involvement across the board, not just at GESDA, but even at GESDA in the planning stages of conferences like this, accelerators like this, being asked what we're interested in learning about and how we're interested in seeing these issues portrayed and connected. I think that once we have an actual seat at the table for the conversation, youth that is, then I will be trusting in our ability to tackle these issues and very optimistic.
Becky, what do you think?
So I think conferences like GESDA are our first step in trying to understand what are the technological developments that we're creating, but also creating a sense of multipolarity, right? This idea that science can be able to reach different parts of the world. And of course, I echo Jordan's sentiments that this is the first step. But I think the second step should be, how are we using this information that we've gathered here and repatriating back to our communities? What does that look like in our context? And also, how do we inform our policymakers in making sure that they are implementing science-based policy decisions in order to affect development? So in that perspective, I'm very optimistic because I can see the fundamental functional utilities of these technologies in my own context where we don't have many resources. So I'm very optimistic in that sense, but also I'm a bit cautious about the regulatory frameworks in which govern these technologies, as we're seeing that technology is advancing at a pace that regulatory frameworks cannot understand. So in that perspective, I'm not too optimistic, but I am optimistic in the fact that we do have smart people in the room, and of course, the importance of this summit is to anticipate, right? Right, we're anticipating, but also we're creating frameworks in order to see what we can be able to implement in the future.
Well, we're all anticipating a bright future, and I think it will be thanks to you. Thank you very much, all three of you, for being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you.